Hi, and welcome to SCW Live. The Q&A is back once. I take 1 week off and the wrestling community literally explodes with news. I couldn't believe my eyes what I've been seeing this week while I've been absent. Daniel Bryan looking to go to AEW. CM Punk going to AEW. Karrion Kross losing on Raw. Samoa Joe returned to the ring. We've seen John Cena, Goldberg all coming back to WWE. Rumors of Becky Lynch and others going to be coming back also. There's so much that seems to be happening right now in the wrestling community, and there's so much to talk about. I can't wait to take your questions in the comments below. So get involved here on SCW, and going to be starting straight after this. So you know the drill. Get your questions in nice and early. I'll give you a shout out as well whilst answering here on screen. I'm on my own today, so it's just me involved here for the Q&A. So like I say, get your questions involved and I'll give you a shout out. And just say DWE saying a wild week, and you're telling me, I tell you, the week I choose to not be around, I couldn't believe everything that's been happening, but still, it's very exciting times indeed. We've got Wrestling by Waldridge, who's in with us as well. So this evening, buddy, if Punk and Bryan do debut in AEW, who would you like to see them feud with first? Great question to kick us off this week. And I must say, I mean, the obvious one is Kenny Omega, isn't it? I mean, looking at it, Kenny would be the dream match, particularly for Daniel Bryan. I'd love to see that match go down. CM Punk, I mean, perhaps it depends what way you want to bring Punk in. Does he come in as a babyface? Does he come in as a heel? Does Punk want to be that anti-authority establishment? Maybe go against the likes of like a Cody or something? You know, almost like Malachi Black has done, almost as that sort of heel debuting. But I can't see anything other than a big babyface pops of both of these guys. So I expect them to start as babyfaces. And I imagine, for me, Kenny Omega is the big match for both of them. So be interested to see how it would go down. But let me know in the comments what you would like to see. Who do you want to see these guys face first if they were to join? If both were to go to AEW. Martin Carrillo is with us now. Says, yo, what's up, SCW? I hope you're doing great. What a moment to be a wrestling fan, right? Yeah, literally. It is crazy right now. Like I said at the start of the video, I can't believe all the returns, all the big news, and particularly with AEW. I mean, if CM Punk and Daniel Bryan both go to AEW, it's a game changer. Let's not kid ourselves here. I mean, these are guys that, if you look at it, I mean, you know, Daniel Bryan was in the main event of WrestleMania this year. CM Punk, you know, was one of the biggest stars 10 years ago, arguably. Hasn't done as much since, but let's be fair, it would bring some fans back into back into viewing the product once again that perhaps weren't before. This would help AEW's ratings, so it's a big, exciting time to be a wrestling fan. You know, even with Matt Cardona last night, I haven't seen it yet, but the fact is that match with Nick Gage winning, you know, the GCW Championship at Homecoming. There's so much going on. There's so much to talk about. I mean, Jay White as well in Impact. It's a really exciting time, and yeah, I've got a funny feeling there's going to be a lot of questions based around a lot of that here in today's video. And you go on to also ask here, can Bryan Danielson and CM Punk really boost ratings, like a lot of fans say? So, well, I hope so. I mean, let's be fair, I don't expect them to go to like 3, 4, 5 million viewers a week or stuff like that. They still would probably be lower than WWE, but this would probably make sure that neither of AEW drops below the million. I would say at that point it'd be safe on the million zone, and then I would say it would probably boost it to around 1 to 1.5. I would honestly expect it, because Daniel Bryan, or Bryan, I should say, along with CM Punk, is two big names there. I'd be excited to see what they bring to the table. And AEW right now with the storytelling, I think is more consistent than WWE. So yeah, I think it'd be quite fun to see what they would do from a story standpoint. Personally, seeing them both in the ring, and I hope CM Punk can still go like he could previously. There's no question though with Bryan Danielson what he brings to the table on an in-ring capacity. Underground is with us. Thank you, Underground, for joining us. This is it doesn't care what WWE marks say about Daniel Bryan joining AEW. CM Punk and Daniel Bryan have just changed the wrestling business, and it shows that AEW is for the true wrestling fans. Well, I must admit, I'm a big fan of both companies, and I haven't seen the negativity on Twitter. I've not really been as active this week, but what I will say is that if there is any heat or any negativity from the wrestling community based on this, it's a bit silly. Let's be fair. Yeah, AEW, it's it's really big buys for them if they do get them in. And yeah, like I say, I'm just excited. But you've got plenty to be excited about if you're a WWE fan as well. Of course, the news coming out about The Rock potentially coming at Survivor Series this year. Hopefully going to build between that and Roman Reigns for WrestleMania next year, or in some capacity anyway. So yeah, it's really exciting times right now. And yeah, I mean, when you look at Punk and Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Downston, if you prefer, for AEW, fantastic. I'm really, really happy about it. You can tell in 5 minutes already. Great week to bring back fans a week ago. Yeah, exactly. Noob and Co, it's the money there. And thank you, by the way, Noob, for joining the stream. Yeah, fans have come back as well, which is arguably the most important part of everything when you look at WWE's side as well. The eruption for superstars like Edge, and particularly the return of John Cena. Goldberg as well got a massive pop as well. So yeah, there's a lot going on. Whether you're a fan of some of these superstars or not, you can't ignore the big buzz that's been given there. As long as you weren't watching that mid part of SmackDown, which was at the music festival, which does escape my attention right this second, that probably, yeah, that was probably the quietest point of the week. But from fans who actually in wrestling attendance, yeah, it's blown the roof off. It's been really cool to see. Underground goes to say that Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor shouldn't be happening. I would honestly wait for Extreme Rules and have Roman Cena at SummerSlam, but that's just me. That's a fair point. What I would say is, on that, in my opinion, I don't think Balor and Reigns is at SummerSlam. I think it's probably going to be on SmackDown, if not next week, the week after. This is to give some filler in between for the Roman Reigns and John Cena rivalry that I expect still will main event SummerSlam. It would be weird if it wasn't the SummerSlam main event after Cena comes back. So I think that Balor and Reigns, if to give an opinion, I agree with you. I think it should be left longer, but I think we're going to get it sooner. And for me personally, I mean, yeah, I mean, Balor, if he loses this soon, is coming up, he becomes that squeaky clean babyface Finn Balor that we've not seen for a couple of years. I want to see the NXT Finn Balor that we've seen. I think that would be pretty cool if that was actually to happen. I want to see Finn Balor, the Prince, being brought in to SmackDown. I think that'd be pretty cool to see. It goes on to say as well that Karrion Kross is your undefeated NXT World Champion, lost to a guy who's been a jobber for the past year or so. Triple H creates and Vince kills. Yeah, let's not get me started on this one. Yeah, it's arguably Karrion Kross coming to Raw and losing to Jeff Hardy. Now, I know some will say, look, it was feet on the ropes, and you want to give Jeff Hardy a push again with the no more words and the nostalgia of that. If you look at Karrion Kross, a year, like you said, Triple H creates a start for a year, undefeated, not been pinned at all, and then it comes into Raw night one. Yes, there's probably a story where it's going to build to some sort of rivalry and Karrion Kross will get his win back or something, but it's really damaging. And I think it's worse than even when The Fiend lost to Goldberg, back at Saudi Arabia's show that they had a year or so ago. So it's that bad in my personal opinion. I'm not a fan of it at all. And like you say, this seems to be a message to NXT. They're clearly not happy with the idea that NXT couldn't do a better ratings war against AEW. And yeah, I think this is Vince putting NXT in its place. And I wouldn't be surprised if quite a few people in NXT were a bit unhappy with what happened there, especially with a lot of people putting a lot of effort into making sure that Karrion Kross looked as big of a star as possible. And yeah, I'm not even going to say about the entrance side because yeah, he needs Scarlett and he needs that he needs the smoke and the mystique. It's not good what they've done with Kross there. Not happy. Martin Karrion says that was it a smart move for Kross to lose, or did it get people talking exactly how it feels to judge so soon? But the thing is, yeah, I mean, perhaps I'm judging too soon. But as I say on the last comment there, you've spent a year building this guy up. I think he should come in. He should win. He should be dominant. He should go through the Raw roster, especially if he was to come in and lose to, say, I don't know, on the first night, Drew McIntyre, you could kind of turn around and say, well, first off, that match should have been built up properly. But B, you could have kind of made an argument for it. Drew is arguably the babyface on Monday Night Raw, but Jeff Hardy has been a main event for the better part of the last 12 months or so. He's not really been doing much in WWE. I expected a push with the No More Words, but I didn't expect him to defeat your NXT champion. So for me personally, I was really unhappy about it. And yes, maybe some people are reacting, maybe I'm included, but I really do think it's one of the worst booking moves that WWE has done in a long time. Why spend so much time if you want NXT to be developmental and build these stars up? Why spend all that time to do so, to bring them to Raw, to bring them to SmackDown, to then just destroy all that in a quick time. Finn Balor could be another fine example there. As I said, we've got squeaky clean Finn Balor, extraordinary man once again. It's going to be arguably stuck in the mid-card if he's booked like that within 3 to 6 months. And that pains me to say that, because Finn Balor for me could be a top superstar in WWE if booked like the Prince we saw in NXT. I want to see that Finn Balor that's bringing the, the 1916, that sort of stuff. We're back to the coup de grace. We're back to the, even just those small mannerisms of Finn Balor. We're not seeing that Finn Balor the same. So yeah, I'm complaining here. Vince is not booking NXT superstars. They're where they should be, in my opinion. And my Tan host Mike with us. Thanks for checking out the live stream. Says he tried watching Raw on Monday, and yeah, I can imagine that probably didn't go too well for you if you actually saw that. He does say even with the crowd, Raw is still bad, but has helped SmackDown. What does Raw need to do to shake things up? Well, how long have we got? I wonder how many people would stay on the stream if I was to give all the reasons, but Raw needs to be more consistent. The easy argument is that they need to probably go back to 2 hours. I just think to have a consistent story that you're going to be interested in for 3 hours every week, it's longer than some pay-per-views, and I think that is kind of like, it's not easy to see. Do you know what I mean? I sit there and think to myself, I want to be engrossed from start to finish. With SmackDown, a 2-hour show, you can have Roman kick it off with a bit of a storyline. You come back 2 or 3 times and then it finishes the show off. It's a good length of time that you can have there. When you've got Raw, 3 hours, it's far too much and far too long. And you go back to some of the writers as well. Previously, we had the writer that was, let go for not even knowing the champion's name. I just think there's too many cooks in the kitchen with the writing team, and arguably, I don't think there's enough knowledge, in my personal opinion, when you look at the writing team. There certainly seems to be more based on Hollywood writers than people that actually know what's going on with wrestling. But again, that's just my opinion. And SmackDown to Raw, 2 very different shows, and SmackDown seems to be a lot more consistent, a lot more fun to watch. Martin Karrion says that this is an unpopular opinion, but WWE at its peak in 2021, once again, your thoughts? Well, what I would say is that Raw was still hit and miss, but I think, as we said on the last question, that's almost a given. It's hard to make Raw going to be that show each and every week, but maybe a draft might help it. But yeah, I would say that with wrestling in general and WWE at the moment, they definitely have momentum coming off Money in the Bank. That was a solid pay-per-view. I would say that with Raw's finish, which we're going to come into in the next question in a couple of seconds with Nikki A.S.H, I think was a nice feel-good moment. So that certainly was something that was good from Raw. Like I said, with Cena coming in, Goldberg, the people were talking, and I think that's a good thing you want to see as a wrestling fan. You want to see people invested in what's going on with the shows. And like I said, I've taken a week away from doing YouTubing at the meantime. Other stuff going on in life at the moment. And literally everything happens in the week I go away. But hey, I'm here now, and we'll go on to talk about Nikki A.S.H then, as Underground says. It's great for kids, but is it what us true wrestling fans want? And it's a very good question. I do think it's great for kids, and I think there's a market for it. And I do feel, for myself personally, as a Nikki A.S.H fan, I was a fan of Nikki Kross. I did prefer the old gimmick at this early stage, but what I would say is this is giving her TV time, exposure, and WWE seems to be trying to build a star with this. They've kind of given the opportunity to use the gimmick to win matches. She's only lost 1, I believe, maybe 2. I believe though only 1 match since this gimmick has debuted. 1 Money in the Bank, and then 1 the Raw Women's Championship the next night. The question is, what's next? Does she keep the belt for a short term? Is she going to be the champion going into SummerSlam in that big stadium? That's my concern here. But at the same time, it does have some continuity. There was stuff going on with Nikki A.S.H as Nikki Kross with Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair. This would work for a triple threat at this particular time. So I'm interested to see where it will go next. But I do think it's great for kids, and I think that that's going to be great for WWE's merchandise and stuff like that. But at the same time, is it what all wrestling fans want? I think that comes down to what you guys think as well. But for me, I like it. I'm not going to lie. I like seeing new stars built and new stars put up, and Nikki A.S.H right now as that has been doing that. She wasn't doing anything as Nikki Kross. So yeah, I'm happy to see a fresh face at the top. We've got another question coming from Martin Carrillo, which will be coming up. There we are. Non-wrestling question, but is YouTube your full-time job? If you don't want to answer, that's all cool, man. It's not my full-time job, no. But obviously with the pandemic, it's given me the opportunity to spend more time doing this again outside of my regular work, which of course hasn't been able to be done as often as I would have liked in the last year or so. But it's given me a good chance to do this, and it's certainly fun. It keeps me active, and obviously for my spare time, I really enjoy doing it. And what's most important is that you know, whether it's you guys and girls that always seem to you know, get involved with the videos, whether it's, you know, the recorded ones, whether it's the live ones, and I really appreciate everyone that really gets involved with this. So that keeps me wanting to keep doing this. Would I like YouTube to go really well? Of course I would. I'd love it to be some form of income, perhaps not the full income, because certainly I'm nowhere at that sort of stage where I could even consider that at this stage. But to say really, I do enjoy it, and yeah, like I say, I'm very grateful for everyone that's joined along for the ride. There's definitely been a lot of support, particularly in the last 12 months or so on this channel, which I'm really grateful for. We've got No Lara with us now. Do you see Toni Storm winning the SmackDown Women's Championship down the road? Well, from insider news that I've seen, apparently Vince McMahon is a big fan of Toni Storm and does see a lot of potential. I do think it's interesting that Toni has come in as a babyface, where she was a heel on the you know, NXT American side. We're kind of getting Toni Storm from NXT UK and the Mae Young Classic winner, which I think is the correct move. And I can see Toni Storm winning championship down the line. Do I see it in the near future? No, because obviously we're being Bianca Belair right now. But could I see perhaps Bianca losing the belt to, say, Sasha Banks, and then Toni Storm winning at, say, the Royal Rumble or next year's WrestleMania? I definitely think there's potential in there. I think that Toni Storm is one of those NXT call-ups that I think that could really work out. Martin Carrillo, all NXT call-ups on SmackDown has brought in longevity for the roster. Can we say the same for Raw? Well, NXT call-ups to SmackDown has been a lot more of them, but what I do feel is that at the moment, I do believe that NXT is going to get more superstars that will be going to SmackDown and Raw by the time of the draft, and I would expect Raw would get more. We're carrying Kross at the minute. Like I say, it's a very touchy subject at the particular moment, but you've got the likes of perhaps a Bronson Reed, maybe a Santos Escobar. We know that for dark matches as well, Xia Li, Scarlett Bordeaux have been involved also, as well as Austin Theory and Indy Hartwell this week also. So you know, there's potential ones that could be involved there. Santos Escobar is the only name there that I believe has not had a dark match in WWE, but I do think Legado del Fantasma would have a lot to offer if they were to be called up. So I do think that for SmackDown's roster, when you look at it currently, it's definitely filled it out. You look at the women's side now, there's so much depth now on that roster. Raw, on the other hand, has depth, but probably will get a few more names, I would imagine, within the next coming weeks and months. Lisa Stansbury, thank you for checking out the stream. It says, can't stand people, WWE, Nikki Cross, Seth Rollins, come off cringe, need charge. I'm guessing it's changed there. Well, those are not your particular favorites, and that's fair enough. I must admit, with Seth Rollins right now, I know we've had previous discussions about him on previous streams. In some point down the line, would like to see him go back to being a babyface, but right now, I do think there's a bit more mileage in this heel character. I'm enjoying the work he's doing with Edge at the minute, and I do hope that Drew McIntyre will be called over in the draft, and I'd like to see a Drew versus Seth rivalry before we go further. I do think that they could have a lot of fun and chemistry. If you want to know more of what I'm talking about after this stream, I recommend going to watch my fantasy booking Drew McIntyre video from now till WrestleMania 38, because I actually booked that feud for a good couple of months, and I think it's quite a fun video. Raquel is an interesting one. I'll be interested to know why you're not a fan of Raquel Gonzalez. I do think she had a bit of an unfortunate botch in the week that did kind of damage the match with Xia Li. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what's going to happen there with her and Dakota Kai, which you know, as a team at the moment, but will it be for the long term? We'll have to wait and see. We have many comments that come flying in, so thank you everyone that's been getting involved. And we've got DW with our next one now. He says he feels like why NXT stars struggle on the main roster. NXT's main demographic is wrestling fans, whereas main roster is everyone. To appeal to the mainstream is a lot harder, and that's why they fail. That's a great point. I have to say that, yeah, it's seen as two very different things. My only thing I would say is a counter argument is that I find a lot of the time when superstars go to Raw and SmackDown, I mentioned Finn Balor already in this video, why can't we experiment with the NXT Finn Balor, try it on SmackDown, see if it can become mainstream and work, go back to the Balor we had 2 years ago, which arguably was a mid-card and was jobbing to, you know, the likes of Baron Corbin before going back to NXT. So I am fearful that's the Finn Balor we'll get again. But I do think you make a great point, and I think sometimes NXT stars that don't do so well in NXT tend to do better when they come up to the main roster. You can look at Alexa Bliss being one of them. Elias is another one who, let's be fair, he's still around, but more of a job at this particular moment, but still his gimmick does work, and I think with fans being back will work better. And you look as well, I mean, Toni Storm coming up, like I said, I think she will do better now that she's out of NXT. She wasn't doing very well on there at this particular opponent. Martin Karrion, did fans turn on Seth Rollins back in 2019, or was it his tasteful tweets against top indie stars that was the start of it? Bit of both would be my answer to that. The tweets didn't help, and I think that probably may go to why some people are not a big fan of Seth Rollins. And as well, looking at it, the booking on Seth in 2019 wasn't necessarily the best when he became champion, particularly the work with Becky Lynch. It felt a bit weird. I don't know why, but it did. It shouldn't for a natural couple to feel weird. And as well, I mean, let's be honest, it was really the Fiend booking. Once the Fiend stuff happened, that really, there was no turning back. Seth had to go back to being a heel. But yeah, we've had an interesting Seth heel run this time, as we've already said before. Not everyone is a fan, but of course we've had the Messiah, we've had the eye for an eye stuff that we've had with Seth. But this Seth right now is an interesting one we've got at the minute. I'd be interested to see if people are in the chat room overall still a fan. But yeah, it's interesting with Seth. Back in 2019, I do think both of those things were harmful to Seth Rollins' babyface run. No way back for us now. I think AEW should save CM Punk debut for All Out and then save the American Dragon for the debut for New York. Yeah, I mean, according to the rumor mill, I believe that is the case with both superstars. So you could very well be in luck. Chicago feels like the natural place to debut CM Punk, where it's going to be in the American Dragon debut in New York. Of course, that's going to be a big, I believe, stadium that they're going to be in, or definitely a bigger venue as well for Daniel Bryan. So yeah, I'd be much in favor of both those suggestions you've given there. So yeah, let's see if that is exactly what the plans will be for AEW, because with WWE we used the plans changing. Is it the case though when it comes with All Elite Wrestling? Martin Karrion, is the Prince still in Finn Balor on SmackDown? I mean, he was still serious while making the challenge to Reigns. Well, that's a good point, but it's usually just in the facials and the body language. That's the stuff I'm kind of reading off. Just seeing Finn walk to the ring and just do those old sort of hands out kind of movements. I think that's the stuff that's making me feel he still did that, Finn, but there was just a different swagger, a different movement with him. And I think for me, that's why I feel the Prince isn't there. The Prince is on the Tron. It's on the screen, but I'm not seeing it already on SmackDown. I'm seeing Finn of what we've seen before. And I don't know, just back to the blue trunks as well. It's almost like we've got like a blue T-state. It almost feels like Finn as Intercontinental Champion a couple of years ago. So I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because I want to see Finn succeed. And I think Finn, in my opinion, I'd have put him on Raw, just to be brutally honest to begin with. But hey, we still have a draft coming up. Maybe we're going to do this match now with Roman and Finn now, which I think will be a fun match. And maybe then we put Balor on Raw when it comes to October time, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the draft has been delayed, which is a bit of a shame, because I'm a big fan of the draft. I like all the videos and lead up to it. You probably can see that on my channel with some of my recent videos. It's been 22 minutes on the stream, so I do apologize as I am live. I am going to take a quick break. It's thirsty work doing this, unfortunately, but yeah, it has to be done. Alicia is with us once again. Live event last night, cheer for Rhea Ripley in her match. Boo, Nikki Cross live event. And of course, it was all three of them for the championship with Charlotte Flair as well. Well, I think that would be the good direction if they were to go down that route. From my understanding as well, that Rhea Ripley after Raw this week has gone full babyface. So if that's the case, then hopefully we won't have as much mixed, direction of what we got previously with Rhea Ripley, because I've not known whether to cheer or boo her for the last few months, and I think that's really harmed the momentum and the championship run she's had. So now I'd like to see where we would go, and if we're going to get a real full-on babyface now from Rhea Ripley. She couldn't out naughty the dirtiest player in the game, the Queen, Charlotte Flair. So yeah, let's have a go back to full-on babyface. Martin Karrion wouldn't have expected Samoa Joe to wrestle anywhere he went. I bet he wouldn't have gone back to NXT unless they let him wrestle, right? Yeah, well, that's the case. And I mean, I'm expecting Samoa Joe and Karrion Kross will be the main event of TakeOver 36. I would be shocked if it's not at this point. I know a couple of tapings have already taken place, but I'm not aware entirely if that's fully announced at this point. But what I would say is that if it's not, I would be very, very surprised. But yeah, Samoa Joe, I'm pretty sure wherever he went, he probably wanted to wrestle. The main roster, I hate saying that, Raw and SmackDown wouldn't clear him. If NXT would, and now he's got cleared, I can't wait to see him back in the ring. And I just hope that all will go well and he will remain healthy, because a fit Joe is, he's one of the best wrestlers there is, and with the character and the gimmick as well, he's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Underground, I'm going to answer this very quickly without even reading it, because I can say at the moment that I did not see MLW Battle Royale last night, but that does sound like a heck of a match. And the return of Lucha Underground next month, but named Aztec Underground. I'm hyped for Derek Quater. Well, I was unaware of that news, so Underground, thank you for making me aware of that. I was a big Lucha Underground fan, and I must say that I am hyped for Derek Quater as well. I loved when he screamed, "Ring the bell." So yeah, for me, I'm really happy about the news. It would be a shame that, of course, a lot of that roster is not around now to be around for Lucha Underground. But hey, they were great at finding unknowns before, or certain unknowns to my knowledge. So it'd be great to see what they can bring in now. But as for that match from AEW, it does sound like a decent match. Perhaps maybe I need to go back and check that out. But do thank you for the question nonetheless. Nubico, I like the superhero gimmick that Nikki A.S.H has built. If only wrestling fans on Twitter should give it a shot. But that's the thing. Time is everything, isn't it? And I must admit, at the very, very beginning, I wasn't really warm on it. But although I still prefer the Nikki Cross gimmick, I am a fan of this gimmick, and I do see the potential it can have. As we said earlier in the stream, yes, I think it's something that's definitely for a younger audience, but that's not something we can't get behind. I mean, hey, I like Marvel. I'm sure a lot of people out there are liking their Marvels, the DC, stuff like that. And this is based off of that. It's certainly a bit of fun. And like we're saying, it's giving a chance to build a new star. We're getting a fresh face as the Raw Women's Champion. It's not just Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, or the same faces in there. Someone else is getting the turn. So yeah, I think people should get behind it. We've got Underground once again now, says, what does Raw need to do to be shaken up? Fire Bruce and have Vince step down and fire the writers. Simple as that, to be honest. There you go, a major shake-up if Underground got his way. Alicia as well, not looking forward to seeing Punk come back. Why people cheer the guy, cheer the guy. He turns on, you looks happen, deserves UFC. Never understood the hype. Right, okay, so let's look through this. Obviously, he turned his back on wrestling, went to UFC, didn't work out, and never understood the hype. But that's totally fair. And I think a lot of people have soured on CM Punk over the years. Of course, he's got very strong opinions, and I think some people are not a fan of those opinions. I must admit, as a wrestling fan, I was always a big fan of CM Punk, even from the very early days of seeing his work. I loved his work in 2011, of course, with the Summer of Punk. Yes, the story didn't entirely go to plan, but I mean, I will never forget the Money in the Bank rivalry and the ending to that pay-per-view, which one of my latest retro reviews, if you want to go and check out, with Wrestling by Aldridge. It's definitely a fun one to go back and watch. But yeah, I mean, the thing is with Punk, he's definitely a big name that I suppose when he was around, there was still like 5-6 million people probably watching Raw around that time on a weekly basis. So I think for a lot of people that have turned away since, that may bring some of them back. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is. It's going to work for some. It's not going to work for others. But I must admit, it does work for me. Marta Greer, what could Jay White do in Impact Wrestling? Maybe Omega, but he's an outsider, so it wouldn't fit for the story they're telling. That's interesting, yeah. I mean, the thing is, I must admit, I've only recently caught up with Impact Wrestling and what's been going on this past week, but it looks like already he's recruiting for the Bullet Club, which is fun to see with this Impact New Japan Wrestling relationship with Chris Bay in the ranks. I'm interested how Chris Bay would fit into Bullet Club as well. But yeah, I mean, Omega seems to be a potential they could do. It's interesting because yeah, it would be two guys from two different companies going for the Impact Championship. So yeah, it doesn't really fit the story that they're telling. But I mean, if they were to make that match happen, that would be pretty darn awesome, and I think would get a lot of people interested in what's going on with Impact. And it would. The argument is, we say, why Goldberg with WWE and stuff like that? It does give the rest of the talent a chance to shine and actually stand out on that show. So there are ways and means of where that can work if they were to put that match together. But it looks like in the short term that Jay White and Chris Bay will be taking on the Good Brothers. So there definitely is some sort of linked to this already. But Bullet Club versus the Elite. Yeah, like I say, I think it's money, even if it probably doesn't make a lot of sense what Impact are looking to do right now. One other thing, just before I actually go to that next one there from Mike, I would just say that obviously we've been teased well, Kenny Omega and Josh Alexander. That's a match I'm really looking forward to seeing. I don't think that Josh would win it at this particular moment, but certainly I am a big fan of Josh Alexander. I can see him as a future Impact World Champion. He's doing some incredible work in 2021. If you've not seen any of Josh Alexander, that anyone that's watching this, make sure that you do, because he's done some great stuff, and particularly recommend his Iron Man match with TJP earlier this year. It was phenomenal. At 60 minutes, it just flew by, and I can promise you it's definitely worth a watch. Mike then saying that, make no mistake, Raquel is super talented, but did they give the women's title too soon? I think there should have been more of a build, not her fault, but more so with creative. Interesting. You could argue that. What I would say is though that momentum just felt like it fell with her. Obviously, she won the War Games match, which I think put a lot of people to feel that she was going to be that person. It was still another, 4 or 5 months before she won the championship, and she sent Rhea Ripley as well to Raw after this, or to the Royal Rumble and then to Raw. So I think Raquel has had the big wins. Has she been ready for the spot? I suppose some may say maybe it was too soon or not. But what's good about Raquel is that she was not ready for a position right now. She could lose that championship, rebuild herself, stay in NXT rather than moving to Raw, SmackDown, and come back again. So in my personal opinion, I don't think it was too soon. It felt like the right place, the right time, and the right person to defeat Io Shirai. Obviously, she's super talented, and I would say at the moment, I think the problem is with NXT, is with creative, is that they've not built the right amount of challenges for her right now. But from my understanding, Dakota Kai, interesting what could be going on with those two, if they're going to stay together, if they're going to break up and have a match. And I think that definitely could be a story that could solidify the championship run for Raquel Gonzalez, or could be interesting if they actually then switch the belts over, and maybe Dakota Kai could be the one that could actually become the next NXT Women's Champion. We've got Wrestler by Waldridge. Do you think we'll ever see a North American G1 in either WWE or AEW? I could see it happening in AEW for sure. Great question. It's definitely a section, if it's not the full thing. I think that would be a great shout. I think that obviously New Japan want to build their American market. This is definitely one of the big things that they do in their calendar year. With AEW, I think it would be more likely to do so because it works with the Forbidden Door. I think it even works with Impact Wrestling as well. But let's be honest, AEW of the two is definitely the market you would look to do that with. So I think AEW for sure. There doesn't seem to be much that's gathered of momentum or any sorts with this WWE and New Japan partnership that was rumored earlier in the year. It seems to have gone very, very quiet since. So it looks like now with things loosening up a little bit, we've had a New Japan Championship actually changed hands on Dynamite this week. So with Daniel Bryan rumored to then be going to AEW for the reasons of wanting to also have matches in Japan, these dream matches of all these superstars, I'd say AEW definitely is a likely one. And yeah, I hope that happens. Great suggestion. Martin Carrillo, could Corbin's storyline lead into something with Kevin Owens like RK Bro? Amazing question. In a weird way, I don't think I'd mind it. I mean, obviously, Kevin Owens didn't win Money in the Bank, and they've got great chemistry together. And it seems to be that Corbin, that babyface turn, is coming. I love what they did with him on SmackDown this week. And yeah, I mean, when you look at it, obviously, Corbin, what happened to me? He's realizing he's a bad dude. And then obviously the stuff with the tank and that, obviously, it was comedically very well done. And obviously, it proved the point of showing Corbin that even the heels are turning on him. And with Kevin Owens being a babyface that he is coming to the aid, this could lead to something. I definitely would get at least a tag team match. Will it lead to a tag team partnership? I'm not sure at this point, but it's interesting. I've enjoyed it. So yeah, I quietly would be okay with it if it was to happen at this moment. Noob & Co then says, what's next for Asuka since Money in the Bank? A lot of people are still bashing on the W creative ever since 2018. Asuka is lacking character work and character growth. That's the thing. I mean, it's the character work. Obviously, Asuka was dancing around very well in the PC version of the pandemic era, but then obviously WWE saw how well it got over. Rightly gave her the Raw Women's Championship at that point, but yeah, they kind of let it fade away. And like you said, she's lacking in things right now, and it's been ever since 2018 where some of those cracks appeared. So for me, I'd like to see Asuka like we've probably discussed this a couple of times before, but definitely turn heel. I like that Kabuki warrior kind of version of Asuka, a kind of evil kind of heel version of her. I think would be quite see dominant as well in matches then against, perhaps some of the weaker baby faces at this particular time. I'm trying to think of people that would be kind of fitting for that role, since Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke are not probably around at the moment. Obviously, Mandy Rose has gone to NXT, but you look at sort of that lighter end of the Raw roster, destroy those people for a few weeks, then start building towards a meaningful program against somebody that's more meaningful on the Raw roster, and that would be quite interesting to see. That would be where I would begin it. Personally, for me as well, I mean, not that I think it would ever happen, but I would love Asuka to have some time down at NXT. I think there's some great dream matches you could have down there, but with the probably likelihood that we're going to get some people brought up to Raw in the meantime, or to SmackDown, depending on what happens with the draft, I think Asuka is going to have some fresh matches going into the winter. Martin's Karrion, which partnership would you like to see for WWE if it was to happen aside of AEW? Great question. Good one. Very, very good one. Ring of Honor, why not? They're not really seemingly involved as much at the moment. And yeah, I mean, if you look at with the way that Ring of Honor is, it's kind of like great technical wrestling, stuff like that. I think it would work quite nicely with NXT. I'm quite a fan of a few of the talents they've got, like Jonathan Gresham, Jay Lethal. You've got Rouge, Bandito. It's a very talented roster that they've got there, and I love what they got with the pure rules as well. I think that brought in against some of WWE's best technical wrestlers, I think could be a lot of fun to watch. So yeah, I'll go for Ring of Honor as my selection. Wrestler by Aldridge, I think Seth is doing some of the best work of his career at the moment. Loving it. But there you go. We've got some Seth fans in the house there. And I think there's some mileage with the Seth character we've got currently. And I'm enjoying the rivalry that's going on with Edge right now. So, yeah, I mean, for me, let's keep it continuing. Let's see where it can go. And like I said, I think there's still some stuff we could do with Seth as a heel right now. Had to be done. Another one from Wrestling by Woodridge. And do you think we will get the Elite versus Bullet Club? Impact has certainly planted the seeds on Thursday. That's the thing, that you can't tease us like this and not give it to us. And I mean, the one thing is, Bound for Glory this year has been advertised as 4 companies involved, which is Impact Wrestling, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and AAA. So I think there's definitely going to be some working relationships happening. And now they've teased this at the start. I'm interested to see if more will happen. If we get like Tama Tonga come over and people like that as well from the Bullet Club here to take on the Elite, it'd just be incredible. And let's not forget the Young Bucks as well. If they could get the Bucks over involved for that as well. I know that most of the people are not involved, actually a part of the Impact roster, but to get it on an Impact environment, Jesus, they would do some great pay-per-view buy rights. It would be certainly worth it. Underground actually goes on to say as well that the question about the G1 Climax format for WWE, how about they do the King of the Ring for WWE in a G1 Climax format across Raw, SmackDown, NXT? Very interesting thought. I mean, the King of the Ring is expected to make some form of return later this year. I know Queen of the Ring, according to Wrestling Inc., is meant to be a Peacock special as well. Would arguably be a all-female pay-per-view if they did that. It'd be interesting what they're going to do with that. But yeah, I'm all down for it. I mean, the thing is, if you can use King of the Ring rather than give them the King or Queen gimmick at the end of it, give them a championship opportunity, which I believe G1 Climax actually does, is actually builds future contenders for championship matches. For me, that's how it should be used. So yeah, I'd be quite in favor of it. I like the idea. Martin Karrion as well says, can Lily become Raw Women's Championship before Rachel becomes a top face on Raw? Oh dear. Anything can happen at this point with the Raw creative team. I wouldn't put it past them. I really thought we'd seen the back of Lily, and sadly, she's back. Look, Alexa likes the gimmick, so that's really cool. I'm really happy for her, but unfortunately, it's not working for me as a viewer and as a big Alexa Bliss fan. Martin Dennis goes on to say, how long do you think Big E will hold his Money in the Bank contract? For me, personally, I think he holds it till SummerSlam. I think it's a shame that we don't get a long-term Money in the Bank holder, especially for the women. Just quickly with Nikki A.S H, did you know she is the second longest holder of the women's Money in the Bank contract, which is a full day at the end of the show? That's the longest, second longest. We had Carmella, which went on for ages. And then we had Alexa Bliss on the same night, Bayley on the same night. We had Asuka on the start of Raw, and now Nikki A.S H at the end of Raw. It would have been nice to see a longer one for the women. The men as well would be nicer longer, but I think it fits in nicely for Big E to win his first ever championship against Bobby Lashley. I think it will be involved at SummerSlam. I think it'll be to do with Goldberg. I have said this on a previous video before, and I noticed that since as well, I'm not the only one that said it. I believe quite a lot of YouTubers have also had the same idea of it. I think it makes the most logical sense, which is why I think a lot of people are suggesting this idea. So for me personally, I would like to see that, and I think it will be SummerSlam where it will happen. I think if it's in that big stadium environment as well, not only is it a big moment for Big E, but you could actually make a start doing that. So I really, really like that idea. Underground, Elite versus Bullet Club, Blood and Guts. Yeah, or for Impact, Lockdown, Lethal Lockdown. Why not bring that back in? That would be quite cool to see, wouldn't it? So it's pretty much kind of the same thing, isn't it? So yeah, I would love to see that idea. Really cool concept there. Thank you, Underground. And Russell Brown Wardridge also likes those suggestions. So there you go. Awesome stuff indeed there. We're going to go back on. We've got quite a few more comments come flying in here as well. So it's got some new ones as well coming in. I will get to you very shortly as well there. Thank you everyone that is joining the stream as well. We've got Underground said they marked out for Derry Equator last night at MLW. Aztec Underground, okay, Lucha Underground back next month. Well, I'll tell you what, I shall mark it in my calendar. I will be checking it out, and I'm looking forward to checking on these live streams to be talking about it in the future. Martin Karrion as well saying that since Impact and AEW partnership isn't really helping Impact that much, wouldn't it be cool if WWE and Impact make a partnership? Impact could gain so much with it if booked right. That's the thing. It would be awesome to see. The only thing I would say is that WWE, I don't think with any working relationship would be able to book it correctly or book it right, unfortunately. You've seen even when they've owned the rights to like a WCW or someone like that, even their own developmental NXT, they don't treat them well. They treat them mean and try to keep us keen. That's pretty much what they do. But yeah, I mean, Impact, they've got some great stars. And of course, if it was like a feeder promotion with Chris Bay, Ace Austin, Josh Alexander, you know, amongst more, you've got to look at the Knockouts as well. I mean, Deanna Price was part of WWE previously, but yeah, I mean, if it could be booked right, it would be pretty darn sweet. But yeah, it is what it is. I don't think it's going to happen, sadly. Chris Pauley, thank you for checking out the stream, says that how do you feel about Mandy Rose to NXT? Do you like it? And do you think that she is there to recruit women's stable? And do you think we will get a feud with her versus Frankie Monet? And do you see it as a future NXT champion? I was so shocked when I saw Mandy Rose return to NXT, but if they've not got a use for her on Raw or SmackDown, rather see her being a future release or in catering, I'm happy to see her back on NXT. Make some use of Mandy Rose. And yeah, I mean, for me, I see at the moment she does look to be recruiting. I could see her being perhaps in some form of partnership actually with Frankie Monet at this point rather than actually opponents, but maybe it's something that could happen further down the line. But as a future NXT Women's Champion, Frankie Monet, yes. Mandy Rose at the moment, sadly, no. That's kind of, you know, it's a bit of a shame, really. We've got Jeff Samuel in house. Thank you very much, Jeff, for checking this out. He says, how do you feel about the Lucha Bros and Andrade storyline? I was crying when I saw Chavo. Yes, he was underrated because I was an Eddie Guerrero fan, and this was a brilliant idea. And do you see Luchas turning on Pac? And I think that, or Pac turn on the Luchas and go with Team Andrade, international stable, like an American. Well, that's a really cool concept, the idea that we could see that, because of course many would turn around and say, well, the obvious one would be for the Lucha Bros to turn on Pac, but the idea of Pac turning on them to align with Andrade, interesting proposition. I really like that, Jeff. That's really thinking outside the box there. For me personally, I feel that the moment with Andrade, I like the fact he's been paired with Chavo. I think it's a better fit than what we had with Vicky Guerrero. I think keeping it in the family as well seems like a cool, fun concept. Chavo, I think, was massively underrated. I agree. I can't believe, by the way, whoever said on Twitter today that Eddie Guerrero was a B+ player, shame on you. Eddie Guerrero, one of the GOATs, one of the greatest of all time. I don't think it's even worth a discussion on that. But yeah, I mean, looking at it, I think it could be a fun storyline. I'm interested to see how it will play out. It's probably too soon to see what my full thoughts are on it, because I feel with Andrade right now, not everything is connecting at the moment with what they're doing with him, but I do feel that this has got legs. I think by the way we work this into All Out, I think coming out of it, I certainly think it could be a hell of a lot of fun. So yeah, Awesome. Thank you very much, Jeff, there. We've also got C Nation Dog. Thank you for joining the stream, C Nation Dog. Hope you're doing well. It says that I'm really mad. Really mad. I'm guessing Rich Swann and Willie Mack didn't win the Impact Tag Team titles. Do you know what? I was disappointed as well. I mean, I had them as my prediction for Slammiversary, so I'm kind of you on the losing end of that. I do think they will win the championships down the line. It looks like they're going to continue a program of Violent by Design. I can understand why Impact put them on the Good Brothers, though, because obviously they get the exposure with the Good Brothers being on Dynamite every week, and obviously this week Gallows wearing the championship down to ringside, Anderson as well holding on his shoulder. There was a small mention as well, so this way they did get a shout out on Dynamite as well, so I get why they did it, but I understand your disappointment. Was as well, but I do have next few months, so I think they'll be your next champions whenever that will be. Martin Karrion as well. It says it will feel great that NXT would be. It will feel that NXT would be drained out by the main roster when the draft comes around soon. Will NXT get talent in return? Great question. I feel that they should, because I mean, we look at Mandy Rose mentioned there a minute ago. Nothing to do on Raw. Let's take her to NXT. Sounds a really good idea. So I would like to see that. We used to see that a lot back in the old days when NXT started. Tyson Kidd, the Usos, Cesaro. So many guys went down to NXT, had a few matches, had a few programs, and then would go back to Raw and SmackDown and do their thing. So for me, I'm in favor of it. I would like to see it. We've seen it a few times previously, but I think as well, it needs to be some of the right talent as well. I think that yes, people are not being used right, but wouldn't it be nice to see one big name go to NXT as well? I think that would be really helpful for the NXT brand if they were to do that, especially if they're going to lose so much of their talent, because, yeah, I mean, when you take away some of them, it's hard to know who they'll have in their place, but Samoa Joe will be there. I imagine Kyle O'Reilly will stay. Adam Cole could be one that could move, but personally, I'd keep him there. Gargano, Ciampa, I suppose you've got some of the mainstays there, so, I mean, NXT will be healthy whatever happens. C Nation Dog, Biggie could be a double holder if he wins the Intercontinental Championship because of the Money in the Bank holder as well. Well, yeah, I mean, the rivalry of Apollo just won't go away, will it? Let's be fair. I must admit, I kind of hope that we've seen the end of it, but it looks like we're building towards a multi-man match at SummerSlam. If it gets Biggie on the card, and the fact is they're not going to do the idea that I've gave earlier, then perhaps that's a cool thing. But at the same time, I do want to see him go into something different. But I do think Big E will be on Raw in the next couple of months. So if he wants to win the IC title, then I expect the US title to go to SmackDown and him to take that to Raw with him. Number of questions still coming as well here, so I'm making sure that I can get to the next one here, because unfortunately I've lost my stream just at the second here. Right, okay, we can get back to the next one now. We've got Jeff Samuel then saying to us here, how do I feel about Queen of the Ring rumors? Who do you want to see be in it and win it? And how do you feel about Violent by Design and Impact lately? I think EY made me grow on them because he's so good on the mic. Well, I'll tell you what, two great questions there, and we'll start with Violent by Design, as we talked about them just a couple of seconds ago. I really like them as a stable. I think they're really cool. I think they're edgy. I think there's something different. And I think that stables, you know, need to have an identity, and when they have that, they can be booked really, really well. And I think that VBD has that, and I think EY is so great on the mic. I think they've got room for another member, and I do think Alexander Wolf would be the perfect member for that group. But apparently they might not do such things, because these four superstars in Violent by Design have all been together for a long time throughout their careers. So like what we see now isn't just thrown together like in the last sort of 6 months or so. These guys have known each other for years. We're going decades, you know, back to when a lot of them first started out and working together like on those indie circuits. So I think that that's what's made this stable feel so legit as well. The fact they have that natural chemistry together. So I think that really works really, really well. But if the were to bring one more in, Alexander Wolf, I think would work well, because he's worked with EY, and you know, I just think he would be a great fit in that stable as well. But Queen of the Ring, we'll go on to that. Would it be gimmick infringement if it wasn't Charlotte Flair winning it? I'm not sure, but I don't want dislikes on this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some fresh names. That's what I think should be in this. People that are not champions, I think should be involved in it. People that are not in the championship picture, I think that's what you should really get there. I think if you'd have, you know, stars that can be built and made from this, a winner like that we don't see coming, I think that would be a great thing to see. I tell you what, how about as a shout out here, what about Naomi to win it? Now I know she's been a champion before, but she's not been booked as a strong contender now. What about Naomi? And then she can go on, win the SmackDown Women's Championship, and then we can, you know, fulfill this bloodline. She could be with the Usos and Roman Reigns. That could be so much fun. And I think a heel Naomi actually thinking about it, is something I don't think I've seen for a long time, and I want to see that come back to WWE. And of course, he does go to mention as well the legend Rhino there is so cool, and he is so cool. I'm a big fan as well of Rhino. I've loved his work since ECW. Martin Carrera, fun fact, Charlotte Flair has been cashed in on 3 times. Carmella, Bayley, and Nikki A.S.H. It looks like the Queen can't hold on to her kingdom. Fun fact indeed. So 5 of those, and she's been cashed on 3 times. I wonder if that means she's going to sooner get to the 16 world titles, probably. But it's a very good fun fact, Martin. I wasn't aware of that knowledge myself there, so thank you for bringing that to our attention. C Nation Dog as well has also come out to say here that Rich Swann, Bound for Glory could win those championships. Well, I'd like to see that. I know that they're definitely aspiring to do it at these tapings. The shout this week, they want to go in there for it, and yeah, be interesting. I really hope that they do it. Martin Karrion says that has AEW failed doing debuts first with Miro, Ethan Page, Lance Archer, then to fix them? What are they supposed to be? Well, I mean, they've got things right, at least with all 3 of them. You could argue in recent times. Miro has been fantastic since Revolution. I love the character they've got with him now. I think Kip Sabian was the bad fit when they brought him in. Ethan Page, I think he did all right in the role he was brought in the ladder match, but definitely took some time to really establish him on AEW and feel comfortable. I don't know if that was a creative side or both sides that just needed to get used to working with each other. But I'm enjoying Ethan Page a lot at the moment, and I was a big fan of his work in Impact. I've been quite a while with an Ethan Pound, mark, if you want. So I'm pleased to see he's doing great things now in AEW. And Lance Archer, I mean, yeah, they booked him pretty well at the start, but he always couldn't win the big one. For the first time this week, beating Moxley on AEW is a big deal. So I'm hoping this will be the start of doing something. But I know he's got a championship match next week, so I'm really hoping that he wins that match for his sakes, because otherwise that would definitely be a big win, and then everything just goes straight down the drain. So I'm hoping that Lance Archer does retain next week. But I think when you look at, if you compare this with Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson and CM Punk, I think however they debut in, I think we'll be seen as a really big deal. I mean, Malachi Black was debuted in a really cool way. Andrade El Idolo was a bit flat as well. So yeah, I think you need to make it as the focal point, the main event part of your show with those 2. If you can do that, I think that definitely get people talking as you go off air. And unlike Impact did a small boo-boo last week, if you want, with the idea of this going off air without airing everything, make sure the classic WCW Bobby Heenan, we're running out of time, we need, give us a few more seconds, and just cut the show off. I think that would be the perfect way to bring those guys in and then get people going, God, they've just been on TV. We need to see this next week. I think that would be the perfect way to do it. Randy Sam as well is with us now. Thank you, Randy, for checking out the stream. It says that who do you think Apollo Crews should face for the IC title? I like the tease of everybody coming for the belt. I like Rude and Ziggler, Nakamura. I think Bronson Reed teased to join the Bloodline. Oh, interesting. I don't know. I haven't seen anything with Bronson Reed to do that, but certainly an interesting thought. But for me personally, I would love Cesaro to be the one to do it, just because of the fact that with Cesaro right now, I mean, Cesaro had a great run at the start of the year, kind of lost a bit of momentum in the last few months, it feels, since losing to Roman Reigns. So I think that Cesaro would be a good shout for that. Certainly, even we mentioned King of the Ring earlier on, I think he would be a great shout for that as well. So for me, Cesaro should be the one that should defeat Apollo Crews. But yeah, everyone going for the belt is a bit of a random segment on SmackDown. But if it leads to some sort of multi-match at SummerSlam, I think it could be quite fun. And it could be a good way as well to get the belt off Apollo, because one has got Commander Aziz by his side. One-on-one competitors don't seem to be able to do it. So this would be a good way to get the belt off Apollo. And I think a title change is needed. We'll go back then to Martin Carrera. Isn't it strange that backstage people from Raw really wanted Balor and then him going to SmackDown? Was it a Fox move or just WWE doing it? Could be a Fox move. I mean, let's be fair. They will have a bit of stroke of what's going to happen here. And of course, with WWE, sometimes they change their plans last second. So for me, I wouldn't be surprised if the plan was for Balor to come in the draft. But obviously, with things going on right now, they've delayed the draft. If they then decided then that, well, we'll use Balor now because Balor had nothing to do with NXT, or they had no plans for him, they've brought him up to SmackDown and maybe move him to Raw when it comes to the draft. I think that certainly could be an idea of how they could use it if they weren't, if that was the reason for it. But it could be a Fox move, I'm not sure, because let's be fair, Balor is a fantastic talent. Take away, however, he's presented, whether it's the Prince or whether it's the extraordinary man who does extraordinary things. I mean, the guy's turned 40. I should say happy birthday to Finn Balor, by the way. Hope he's having a great day. And yeah, a phenomenal talent, and that can't be questioned. C Nation Dog, do you think that Rich Swann and Willie Mack are the next Impact Tag Team Champions? Yes, I do. And then Rich Swann would be the first African American Triple Crown winner. Well, that would be a great accomplishment, and that's another fun fact there for us. So thanks for pointing out C Nation Dog. And yeah, I really, as I said in the previous question, I really do hope that's happened, because I'd like to see Rich Swann as a Tag Team Champion in Impact. I think that him and Willie Mack have great chemistry together. Joe Fo in the ring, hey to you as well. Hope you're doing very, very well. Thank you for checking out the stream. We have got a number of questions that are coming in for us, and I'm trying to keep up as best as I can. Probably looking to go on the stream for about another 20 to 30 minutes maximum, I'd say, probably. But Jason asking me that if I was GM, I'm liking the sound of this already. What would you do with Elias? I think he's underrated and he needs a valet, because he wants to be repackaged for change. He said that, what would you do with Elias? And I believe that does go on to follow on, which I can't find in the early section. So I'll just answer what I would do for you with Elias, because, yeah, I mean, Elias now has been suffering without a crowd. I think that with him, he's needed those fans desperately. Now they've come back. Now we can do something with him. But he's been put over Jackson Riker in recent times. That's been a bit of a weird rivalry that I'm not really been a fan of. I mean, you said that the idea of a valet, some sort of manager. I mean, they tried it with Riker and it didn't really work out. So I don't know what they could do with it. I think we just need to have him insulting fans, maybe less in-ring action this moment. Maybe have Elias pick his moment and pick his poison of who he's going to be. Keep him on Raw. I think that's important with the draft, because Elias is great for Mondays. So we have a longer show. He can break that show up a bit. I think on SmackDown, he's always been a bit lost in the shuffle. And I think if you can find the right momentum for him, I'd have him go for whichever mid-card championship is on that brand at the time. So right now, that would be the United States Championship. But yeah, I would try and feel my way in doing that, because Elias has lost a lot in the last 12 months. We need to sort of really slowly build him into a position for that. So like I say, I'd put him for matches, just have him do his stuff on TV with the songs, maybe even stuff that's related to other talent. Maybe that could be quite interesting, rather than actually bashing the crowd every week. Just bash a wrestler that lost. Maybe it could just be a fun 2 or 3 lines of something backstage, and that's all you get. And we back see maybe get a darker version of Elias. Who knows? Maybe that could be interesting as well. Maybe this one has been too squeaky clean because of the fact he's just going in there and losing every week. Maybe he needs to find a new edge when he comes back in. Then we've got Martin Carrillo here as well with our next question there. It says, which of these names would you like to see beat Reigns at a big show? Would it be Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Keith Lee, Big E, The Fiend, or Drew McIntyre? You can only pick one. And that's always the unfair part of this, Martin. You always make me only pick one with these things. But if I was to pick one, I mean, for my video purposes, I picked Drew McIntyre. But I think if I picked who I really wanted, I think Keith Lee would be the one. I would love to see Keith Lee move to SmackDown in the draft. I think that that's definitely a move that needs to happen. And I think that Keith Lee versus Roman Reigns, we saw what they had with their previous history at Survivor Series a couple of years ago when NXT was part of it. So for me, that would be something I'd really, really like to see. So yeah, I think I would have to pick Keith Lee personally if I was to pick one. Underground next to us now. It says, if you had the chance to open up your own promotion on the indies and you could take anyone from any promotion, who would be your top 10 signings? It's a very hard question to think of on the fly. He says he's sorry. Well, I'll tell you what, apology accepted, because I tell you what, it's going to be very difficult off the top of my head, and I'm probably going to miss people out, but let's go for it. And going from singles, and I'm going to go with non-WWE just purely because you said indies. So I'm going to go for people that are outside of the top company right now. So I would go for some single stars. I'm going to look to Impact to take a few of their ones, because I'm really a big fan of Chris Bay, Ace Austin, and Josh Alexander. I think all three have got a great future ahead. And I'm going to take Jonathan Gresham from Ring of Honor as well. And I think that will be my 4 from the singles. I'm going to take... Do tag teams count as one? Otherwise, I'm not going to have enough people already. So I'm going to come up with 3 tag teams and 3 women to finish off. So Deonna Purrazzo will be my first one from the women. I think she's done some unbelievable work with what she's doing right now. I would look to some of the release time. I think Ruby Riott or Ruby Soho would be one that I would pick as well. I think that she's doing has done some amazing stuff in her career, and I think she's definitely been overlooked in her time with WWE. And I think for a last one from the women, let's go for who should I pick? Who should I pick in the comments? Let me know. Start throwing some names in. I am going to go for. Do you know what? I'm going to go for Peyton Royce, because another one that's been released. I think there's definitely a lot of potential there. And I think that would be a great outside idea. As for tag teams, I mean, you know, there's some great potential teams that you could take from other promotions. If I could take Ethan Page, that could be the North there. So there you go. I'm kind of cheating already with another single star. I would take from New Japan. I would take, is it the Empire with Jeff Cobb in it? I would take him and Will Ospreay. Why not? It's not really a tag team, is it? But I'm just cheating here a little bit. Let's just pick two proper other tag teams just to finish off. The Good Brothers would be one, as they're in Impact, and I think that seems to be good. And I think that I will go for the Foundation, the rest of the members of the Foundation. So I could have like Red Titus and Jay Lethal or something just to fill that out. But yeah, very difficult question. Probably butchered it, but interested what other people have got to say in the comments below. We're going to go for C Nation Dog then. It says that WWE is too predictable sometimes. Yes, it is. And I think that people have a lot of problem with that. The only thing I would say is that sometimes predictable, though, can be the right thing to do. And I'm going to mention that with Karrion Kross, because he should have beat Jeff Hardy. Definitely was unpredictable that Jeff Hardy won. But yeah, wasn't a good booking move. But yeah, sometimes predictability can be a bit boring as well. We've got Mars as well joining us. Thank you for checking out the stream. Says that someone told me that the Fiend can attack Finn when we see Roman. We like to see the Fiend versus Demon Finn at SummerSlam, as he never forgot and save it for when both need the wins. And do you know what? It would be fun to see as a match. Obviously, the Fiend, there's been rumors that he may or may not return for SummerSlam. So, I mean, this could be a match that definitely could go down. I just don't think we need to see the Demon character at this point. I want to see the NXT Finn Balor, but if they're going to go all in with the Demon character with it previously, then why not? This would be one of the dream matches, wouldn't it be, to see Finn Balor, the Demon King, against the Fiend Bray Wyatt? And if they could put a good story with it, which I think has to be key for this to work, then yeah, I'd be all in favor. Like you say, never forgets what happened previously, brings the Demon back. Yeah, I mean, there is potential that you could make that work. C Nation Dog here says that I think Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor for the Universal title will be on an episode of SmackDown. I do agree with you. I think that will be on SmackDown rather than SummerSlam. I still expect that we will get a big match John Cena against Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, regardless whether Roman feels that it's missionary or not. I think it's definitely one of the biggest matches that WWE can do. There we go. Missionary plug thrown in there for you as well. I don't want to see Goldberg versus Lashley. I get it. But what if the Fiend was to attack Goldberg at SummerSlam for revenge, and then Big E was to cash in on Lashley, but Kofi Xavier Woods turn on Big E? Well, there's a lot of great suggestions that have come in there, like turn on Big E, like after like Evolution. There was the one there that finished that one off there. Yeah, I think there's some great ideas there. I mean, the Fiend to attack Goldberg, I mean, to get his win back, that would make a lot of sense for the Fiend character, because it's all about getting revenge. He's always been that guy that wants to right the wrongs, so that would be a great way to bring him back. As for you know, Big E to come and then Kofi and Xavier to turn on him, that definitely would be a interesting story, to say the very least. I think that a New Day breakup is something definitely I'd be interested to see at some point. But I would say at the same time that I think it would be more of a feel-good moment to have Big E cash in and win. I'd hate to see a failed Money in the Bank cash in from Big E at this point. I'm a big fan of his work, and I want to see him win the big one. Martin Carrillo, how has Chris Bay's side story been for you? A lot of twists. It has been in recent weeks of Impact. It's been really fun to watch, because you know, he's been a man that's been his own man. He's been offered to be you know, a heel. He's now gone to being babyface. He's been his own man, and now he feels like he's all in for the Bullet Club. So yeah, a lot's been going on with Chris Bay, but I really see a lot of potential in him. I think he's a future megastar of the industry, regardless whether it's in Impact or somewhere else. So yeah, I mean, personally for me, yeah, I'm enjoying what they're doing with him. I'm always wanting to know what's happening next. If you're doing that as a wrestling company, you're doing something right. I'm going to pull the next question up and have the last drink break before I close the stream off today. Fun fact, every Women's Money in the Bank winner has only held it for one day besides Carmella. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, we've had two actually cash in on the same night as well. So, yeah, it's a fun fact indeed, exception of Carmella, who did hold it for a very long time. I hope the next one does have a lengthy run with the briefcase, because we've not really seen that with the women in the storyline in WWE. Chris Bay is gold. I don't care. Best junior heavyweight out there, and your next winner of the Best of the Super Juniors, Dario Cueto. Pick him up for Aztec Underground. Oh, yeah. I like the sound of all that. I'm just going to leave that there. I like it. C-Nation Dog, the reason why I was mad to Rich Swann and Willie didn't win the Impact titles is because they're my favorite team in Impact Wrestling. That's a fair shout, and that's a fair reason as well. I don't blame you for that one. They are a great tag team, and they were before, and it's great to see them reunited once again. Martin Karrion says, I'm really enjoying the Hangman Omega story unfold, as am I. Arguably, alongside Roman Reigns, is the best storyline in wrestling. I'll say that very quickly. Honestly, expected Paige to be a heel by now, the way they were telling the story months ago. This is the wrestling story. This is wrestling storytelling with twists, which, let's be fair, my tongue got twisted trying to say that. Yeah. They're doing exceptional work with this. I'm loving what they're doing with it, and the story has been told so well. They need to continue with this momentum, and I think this could be your main event match for All Out. So Hangman versus Kenny Omega. Maybe that's a potential match you could have for Cena coming in, or Bryan Danielson. But I do think Omega is the heel, and that's the match to do. Hangman is so over as a babyface. Do you really want to bring Punk in as a heel? I'm not so sure. So yeah, I mean, this is one of the best storylines told in wrestling right now, and I think it's gonna go to at least All Out. Perhaps it may even go to Full Gear. I have to see how well they can keep extending this story, because they've done it now for nearly, well, a year and a half now. Incredible stuff. Danny with us in the comment section, thank you very much for checking us out. And he says that, how do you feel the Rock rumors heading to get Roman? And I think it should be the end of the story for the family, and SmackDown needs a tag team. Bad. I hate the Usos and like Dom and Ray. Interesting. I would say here that hang on, let's go some further with this. Let's just finish off and say I hate the Usos because they're heel and it's working to hate them. That's the thing. They're doing their job correctly. So Danny, you bang on the money there with that. With the Rock rumors, I think it's awesome. I love the idea that the Rock could be coming in at Survivor Series, and I'd love to see the Rock have one more WrestleMania match. I think it'd be amazing to see against Roman Reigns as well. Is the right opponent. It would be the right way to finish that family storyline in a way with that, but at the same time, Roman would have to go over, so I guess it probably wouldn't finish it at this particular point. But yeah, they're doing fantastic work, all of them right now. Alongside what we said with the last question, the best stuff going on in wrestling right now is definitely going with the Bloodline on SmackDown. I'm going to try and get through a lot of the remaining questions now. I'm going to try and go maximum another 10 to 15 minutes, and then I will be closing off the stream today. Wrestling community needs to give MLW and RH some love out there. Go and watch those weekly shows. Very underrated. Underground, you are so correct there. I must admit, I'm not really watching a lot of MLW. I will be honest with that. Ring of Honor, I did take a break from them. I dip in and out of their shows, but I must admit, when I watch Ring of Honor, I'm always blown away. There's some incredible talent amongst that roster, and I know with MLW, they've got some great talent as well, and some have come out of MLW to go and do great things elsewhere as well. Of course, MJF being one of them, if people were not aware of that. But yeah, some fantastic stuff there. Great shout from Underground. Martin Guerrero, could Finn Balor be the one of the top faces on SmackDown the next couple of months? Beside that, I really want to see him hold the Universal title and have a run that he never got. I really want that as well. I just don't have faith in it while Roman Reigns is the champion. And if they're going to rush that match and do it very, very soon, then that to me says that it's not going to last very, very long. So I would say that I could see more likely he could be a top face on Raw. Unfortunately, I see it as a mid-carder on SmackDown, and I really hope that I'm wrong when I say that. Curtis John here says, did you hear about the rumors of Legado Kid heading back to Impact? This is good news, and I'm liking the tease of Josh and Omega. I'm really loving the Josh and Omega stuff as well. I think that could be a great match here, and I think it could really put Josh Alexander on the map. I always say he's a great underrated talent. For me personally, I hope that Josh Alexander could become a top main eventer in Impact Wrestling. Legado Kid, that would be awesome news as well. And of course, that does fit in with the AAA involvement for Bound for Glory. So that would make a lot of sense. And Legado Kid has really raised his stock since the last time he was in Impact Wrestling. So fantastic. Did not hear the rumors, but thank you for sharing them with me. And I'd be proper excited if that was to happen. Noob and Co, do you consider Charlotte Flair as the GOAT? In my opinion, I don't see it, but also, do you see Oscar as the GOAT too? To be honest, I see neither as the GOAT at this particular point, but I would say one closer would be Charlotte Flair, because obviously the most championship runs, she is the opportunity in the main event. Oscar is good, but I just don't have her on that level. I have her as like probably in the current crop we've got in WWE, I have us probably 6th, probably. I'd probably have Charlotte, Bayley, the 4 horsewomen basically top. Then I'd have Alexa Bliss next. Then I'd have Asuka after that. But I mean, personally for me, I still have Trish as the GOAT at the moment. Trish is the one that's really, in a time where, women's wrestling wasn't seen of much importance and stuff, she really, someone that came in really green, and she really she took it to a whole different level, and she was the best at that time, and still arguably seen as one of the GOATs today. So for me, I still consider Trish as, but I would consider that Charlotte Flair is probably a little bit behind, but not far behind. I do think that by the time Charlotte Flair is retired, I think that not only is she underappreciated, I do think she'll go down as one of the GOATs, if not the GOAT. Cena Shindok here, it says that I wish to see we got to see Inner Circle versus the Elite Blood and Guts match. So do I. It's a shame it never materialized. It's one of the real downs. I mean, of course, from a wrestling standpoint, anyway, with what happened obviously last year with the pandemic starting, obviously we were very close to getting that match, but we got Stadium Stampede, and that was a lot of fun, and that's something we wouldn't have got had we not had everything play out as we did. So as much as we'd love to have seen that, I would say that although we got both with this year's rivalry. So yeah, take that as you wish, but yeah, it's would have been Martin Correa with us next now. And it says, who do you think will be the first superstar to hold the WWE World Heavyweight and Universal Championships? Very interesting question, because that would have to be an old school superstar to fill that role. So I'm going to have to really think about that quickly. Who has held all of that? Surely Seth Rollins has already done that, hasn't he? Surely Seth is. I'm going to say Seth, because no, he's not done the World Heavyweight though, has he? I don't know. I don't know who I think it will be. I'll have to come back to you on that one, because unfortunately, you'll just hear a lot of ums for about 3 or 4 minutes. If if I really try and think of an answer right now, I will try and come back with that. But Honky Tonk Man with Elias, yes, I said it. Cracking idea. I can't. Yeah, I love that idea. Awesome. He would get over as a babyface, and even if it wasn't as a babyface, it could be Honky the babyface against Elias the heel with a guitar off. Would be a lot of fun. So yeah, cool. Really cool idea. Really love that suggestion. Martin, does WWE really care about the new era pro wrestling and its audience? No, is my opinion on that one. No, sadly. We are in an abusive relationship where we want to see certain things in wrestling. We want to see in WWE new stars being built, new stars being born, and we want to see always new evolutions of superstars going forth. But unfortunately, WWE, I don't think, wants people to get people as over as what they had with Cena, The Rock, people like that. I think they want WWE as the brand that's over. And unfortunately, if superstars get over organically when they're not meant to, you said that momentum seemingly drop. So for me, I'm going to sadly have to say no, because as well, I don't see how you can book Raw that badly either after so many years of booking good shows. Do you run out of ideas, or do you just get a little bit lost in the shuffle? I don't know. I don't see how it can be. So yeah, I'm going to say that they don't always. But in a counter argument, I would say at times they do. So I'm going to put your question back up just to give you a counter argument on it. Is that obviously we do get things that we want. Big E was something we wanted to win the Money in the Bank this year. Got a big pop with it. We do get some great stuff from WWE. As much as I say at times we don't, and we get annoyed about the things. Sometimes perhaps we do focus too much on the negative. Yes, there were some bad things on Raw this past week, but SmackDown was really good. NXT was all right. I thought Money in the Bank was very, very good. So, I mean, we do get things that we do want, but I do think that WWE always puts its business first, even that's ahead of pro wrestling and its audience. Of course, it says, Nation Dog, a lot of Charlotte Flair title reigns. Short, I know, but they wanted to break Ric Flair's 16 title record, and her reigns should be longer. I mean, I agree they should be longer, but at the same time, like you said, they want to do that. And if you have Charlotte Flair for 16 years, yeah, you can do 16 title reigns that can go for like 6 to 7 months each time. But who knows? Do you know what I mean? Like with a wrestler's career, and they obviously want to make sure that Charlotte gets that in there. So I guess that's probably why they're doing so. And West Coast Podcast, thank you for checking out the stream. Says amazing Q&A. Thank you very much. I'm glad that you are enjoying. Hope that you guys are keeping well. Tag team The North, OK Brolo, Ray Phoenix, and Penta, and the foundation of ROH. That's a cracking 10 that's been picked there from Curtis. Loving your idea. Should WWE sign their legends like Mick Foley, Bret Hart, etc., and use them for managing roles, or just respect the work they've done for WWE? Great question. Well, you look at AEW and how they've done it with Jake Roberts and stars like that for Lance Archer. That's the way that they help use legends to get newer talent over and get them more familiar with their audience at home. I think WWE should look to do more of this with their talent. I think with certain superstars, it would probably work less. I mean, like a Mick Foley, you said there, Mick Foley worked really well as a GM. Bret Hart, I don't know how it would fit in the role, but like you say, legends, certain legends could really, really work. And I think the best way to do it would perhaps be superstars that have probably stopped in the last sort of 10 years or so, that rather than having people that have not been around for a long, long time, use those people for special moments like the Hall of Fame and stuff like that. But or just appear on the show and do something special that works for that 1 week. But certainly legends do help get newer stars over. And we mentioned there previously about getting newer talent over. That certainly would be a great way to do it. C Nation Dog goes on to say here as well, here there's a Goldberg wins the WWE Championship, the Fiend Bray Wyatt attacks Goldberg, and then Biggie cashes in and wins the championship. That certainly would be a roller coaster of emotions, wouldn't it? I think my heart would sink seeing Lashley lose to Goldberg, but then obviously with those ideas there, I think that the crowd would be on a big roller coaster ride and would be happy at the end of it. And if it does happen, definitely a pat on the back for you for that suggestion there. Certainly, it would be a lot of fun. Let's put it that way. But even though I don't personally want to see Goldberg win the WWE Championship anymore. Which superstars should stay or go as the draft happened in the fall? I would say have Asuka go to SmackDown and Charlotte stay on Raw. Well, if you've seen any of my previous videos, I've done, I won't go all of them, but I have done 10 that should, 10 that shouldn't, NXT stars that I think that would join Raw and SmackDown. Of course, some of that video, of course, I actually guessed where they would go, but I guess it could work with the draft. They put Toni Storm on Raw, and that didn't kind of work out. So yeah, but she's on SmackDown. She did get called up nonetheless. But I would have Charlotte go to SmackDown personally. I would keep Asuka on Raw just purely because I want Charlotte away from Asuka and Rhea Ripley. But if you put Rhea Ripley on SmackDown as well, that could work also. But I think Drew McIntyre needs to go to SmackDown. I would say it's one of the short ones. Big E to go to Raw, I think needs to happen also. I personally would like to see Alexa Bliss and Fiend back on SmackDown just purely because I'm not a fan of the way they booked on Raw. I had more faith in what the SmackDown booking direction was of their storyline previously. So those are probably some of the ones that I'd say off the top of my head I definitely would want to see. And I mentioned earlier in the video as well, Keith Lee, I would love to see go to SmackDown to take on Roman Reigns. I think Keith Lee on SmackDown would be a much bigger deal than what he is on Monday Night Raw currently. Right. Just going to make sure I get right. I'm going to say no more questions if I don't mind, because I've got quite a few in here and I'm going to definitely go for just about another 10 minutes. So I want to make sure I get everybody in. If I don't, then I'm very sorry. But just say Good Brothers won the Tag Team Championship because they want the Elite, have a champion prominent at Dynamite. Exactly, you bang on the money with that there, C Nation. Does also say that Roman Reigns is a great heel because I do not like him. There you go, he's doing his job. I must admit, I do love what the Tribal Chief is doing at the moment. I think he's doing the best work of his career. But yeah, I love the fact that he's so cocky as well, savage with his lines. But what does Finn Juice taste like? What a question. And I hope that they're not the next Impact Tag Team Champions. Well, I mean, they've already done it, haven't they? And I personally feel that the reign was a bit lackluster. I understood that they took the belts to Japan, and obviously they helped expose those championships and the brand further. But yeah, I don't think it does so much for Impact Wrestling. I just want to see them come in and be bit part players. I don't want to see them as champions either. Alex Radford with us now. He says, I like the twist of Roman faces Finn, but it's quite interesting. Roman told Cena that you're stale and boring, needs to go away. I highly doubt, though, if we'll get a heel Cena attack Finn Balor, a.k.a. Edge and Bryan and Roman. Great suggestion. Yeah, I don't think we'll get a change of Cena either. I think we've got the same Cena going to be sticking around. As I said earlier in the video, I think that Roman versus Finn will be on a SmackDown, and I do think that we'll still get Cena versus Roman at SummerSlam. But I like the twist of it. Yeah, it's interesting. It keeps things exciting. It would, it makes you want to tune in next week of what's going. Hang on, we all thought it was Roman versus Cena. You've thrown a curveball, WWE. So they've done a good thing there. So yeah. Interesting stuff indeed there. And of course, it does go on to say at SummerSlam as well there. Thanks for your question, Alex. Really do appreciate it. C Nation Dog there, it says, do you think Josh Alexander is the next Impact World Champion? I would hope as well. I do think if you had the match in the next month, I think no. I think if the match is, say, Hard to Kill at the start of next year or the end of this year, I think then that would be a good time to do it. Or Bound for Glory probably would be a good place to do it. But I do think, as we said in the video, I think we're going to get the Elite against the Bullet Club there. So I think perhaps maybe Josh Alexander, if he gets a shot now, doesn't win, I think he comes back and wins it later on. So yeah, Hard to Kill would be the place. But yeah, I would like an Impact talent to win next. And I think Josh Alexander is the perfect one. Underground goes on to say here that if WWE go out of business, Roman Reigns and the Usos to turn about the LLW. Talking about LLW, Dario signed AOP for A.S.H as his Matanza Cueto. Now, that would be awesome. I'm getting more and more excited about this A.S.H idea. The more and more you say anything about this, and it makes me feel like I need to check out MLW as well, because obviously that's where some of this is going on. You're making me have to watch more wrestling here, and I guess it's not a bad thing, is it? Let's be fair. Alex called Nia Jax the GOAT in the ring. Oh, never mind. You said Trish. Yeah, I said Trish. I did say Trish. I must say there. Nia Jax, not quite the GOAT, I'm afraid, but you know, she does her best. Anyway, Edge or Goldberg could be WWE Universal or World Heavyweight Champion, and Brock Lesnar kind of did it with that, and when the titles were unified. But there you go. Brock Lesnar technically has Brock been has been a Universal Champion as well. Technically, yeah, I would say that means Brock Lesnar would be. Yeah, Edge would be a fun one if I could pick one. Then thank you for doing some research there for me. If I could pick one, I would pick Edge as my personal preference. Chris Pauly, it says that if Punk and Bryan go to AEW, I think this can really be make or break WWE to change, but I highly doubt it. WWE, I mean, probably won't change. They're probably not even aware of what's. I said they're not aware, but they're probably aware of what's going on. But I think they probably think that whatever's going on, they're bigger to deal with it. Then it's going to take a lot to take what they're doing. But it certainly will help bridge the gap a little bit. And I don't think AEW should change nights or do anything like that. Keep what they're doing on Wednesday nights. They're going to build a following. They're going to get even bigger and better. And with Punk and Bryan, if they are amongst their ranks, the only way is up for AEW. You know, that's pretty much it. And if WWE do change, I mean, I think it's going to be more from pressure from TV networks with ratings going down rather than actually pressure from other companies. Underground, I'll be going to AEW All Out in September, my first live show in 2 years. I can't wait. Well, congratulations to you. I mean, that's going to be an awesome event to be at. And if there's anything I'd like to speculate on this particular video, I think you're in for a heck of a time here at that particular show. So yeah, I hope you have an amazing time at that show. And if there's a spare ticket, then please feel free to take me with you. I'll be quite happy to join you. And SCW, C Nation Doc here saying that he's got a dream match, Sanity versus Violent by Design. Well, of course, you could have Killian Dane. Could you know, he's actually available now. So I mean, of course, you go back to the old gimmick of his now, which was a big demo. If he was to be paired up, I suppose you could do something like that. Certainly be a lot of fun. Where would Eric Young's loyalties lie? That's be an interesting proposition, wouldn't it? At All Out, Omega versus Hangman Page, maybe. I think so. If it isn't, Omega retains. Countdown Clock, Daniel Bryanson, maybe his ROH theme hits on the PA, of course. Then CM Punk. And do we have your attention now? You certainly would. I don't think they'll do both at the same time, but definitely that would definitely everyone's attention, everybody talking. There's no shadow of a doubt. Just saying before I go to the next question, what if actually they joined together as a sort of faction? It's like the outsiders coming in, like NWO starting all over again. Could be a lot of fun, couldn't it? But yeah, probably wouldn't happen. But yeah, it's weird. Goldberg has won the Universal title twice and not won the WWE Championship. Yeah, he won the World Heavyweight Championship, didn't he? When he was in WWE back in 2003, I believe. So yeah, never a WWE champion. He's beating Lashley, isn't he? Oh dear. Mascara, thank you so much. It says for answering your questions, and one day on YouTube, I thoroughly enjoy doing this, Martin. Thank you very much for the kind words. It really does mean a lot, and I always appreciate you and everybody's support on this. It really does mean a lot, and thank you everyone that's been taking your time out of your Sunday to join me on this. And I'm going to do the last couple of questions now, and then I will be coming off the stream. Underground says that I'm in talks. I'm having Melinda Santos in the ring announcing Underground Universe mode. Oh, hello. End of September. I can't wait. Yeah, that would be pretty darn cool. So yeah, you should definitely make sure to check out his YouTube channel. It's always a lot of fun watching his shows. And yeah, that sounds like that would be a lot of fun. Melissa Santos, it's all turned Lucha Underground at the latter part of this video. And yeah, you can see I'm buzzing. Just an idea. Rich Swann, Willie Mack win the Impact Tag Titles and join Bullet Club. If Jay White is on a recruiting spree, then why the hell not? I definitely would be down for it. He's got Chris Bay. Why not Swan and Mackie as well? Why not? And going to the SmackDown after SummerSlam, have a fantastic time. I mean, obviously now with the show starting again, it's great to see that fans can go back to shows. And yeah, wish you the best time there. And of course, you'll know, you'll be the first to see there when it's like head of the table, Roman Reigns or Cena, the results from it and the fallout from it as we go towards the September pay-per-view. I imagine you have a lot of fun with that show. And Marta Carrera says, where is Tony Khan in the chat room when you need him to spare some spoilers? We've had a few of those previously, some Tony Khan impersonators on this channel. And yeah, we've not had one sadly today. Definitely would have been quite fitting for this. But yeah, if Tony Khan wants to make a late appearance, then definitely we can sort of spare 1 or 2 minutes to share some gossip for you and hopefully get SCW talking all across the wrestling community. But to finish us off then, it says that Cena Dog that he wants Goldberg to win the WWE Championship because he likes him, and Bobby Lashley is 45, Goldberg is 54. Well, that's not the biggest age gap in the world. For me personally, Bobby Lashley has just finally got to the main event. I'd like to see him beat an established star and continue his run, but I can understand that, and that's your choice that you want Goldberg to win, and it should be a fun match at SummerSlam, regardless of who wins the match. But I hope for your case that Goldberg wins for you. Last 2 comments then, both from C Nation Dog, and I'll be calling it a day. You sport Chris Way, but I already knew it, but still, there you go. Apologies for the spoiler if there was a spoiler there, but I assumed that with him coming out to make the attack there to actually save Jay White there against the Good Brothers that he had joined. That's the way that I got the impression from the commentary table, but if it is a spoiler, do apologize. And of course, the final mention there, world champion Jay White, Chris Bay X Division, and then of course those, and that could be your Bullet Club of Impact Wrestling, would be awesome, and I would agree. Well, that's all from me anyway. Thank you so much, everyone that has been checking out the stream here and watching SCW Live with the Q&A. Some fantastic questions as always. Thank you to everyone that's been involved. It's been a mental week of wrestling, and there has been a bit of breaking news this evening. Well, we do have Jeff the very best. Unfortunately, he's tested positive for COVID-19. So, yeah, I wish him all the very best, speedy recovery, and hopefully it's not a spread to going anywhere. But apparently he had to pull out some sort of signing today. So it's a shame that that's had to happen. And like I say, wish him well, and wish him well very, very quickly. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you for watching. If you're watching the video for the first time, please like, share, and make sure to subscribe as well. Hit the bell for notifications as well. Keep up to date each and every time a video is released here on SCW. I'm still sort of on a bit of a break at the minute. So if I'm looking to try and do another one of these on Wednesday. So that'll be the next time that I'll release and drop a video here on the channel. So we'll have a chance for Raw and NXT to pass through, and any more of the breaking news stuff that we have, perhaps with CM Punk and with Bryan Danielson. Let's see if anything more is released. And of course, Braun Strowman as well, potentially rumored to be wanted by WWE as well. Just to give a quick opinion on that, I would be a fan of that idea if he wants to come back, but why release him in the first place? It just seems really, really silly and nonsensical. But perhaps they get into a deal that works more for WWE. Apparently that was the issue before. But that's all from me anyway. Thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good one. Thank you for watching SCW Live, and have yourselves a great day, great evening, wherever you are in the world. All the best. Stay safe. Enjoy wrestling, and thank you for watching. Take care. See you soon.